Welcome to Maths with Mr. S.
This video I'm going to solve number and practical problems that involve all of the above. Now all of the above, basically it means all questions that relate to place value. And with this, we are going to do it in practical and problem solving type ways. So we've got our first question. I am on a 100 square. I have 8 tens. I have more than 5 units. What numbers could I be? And if you understand your place value, then this is actually very straightforward. So we just go through the statements and then we will put what answers we get. So I am on a 100 square, which means the numbers need to be between 1 and 100. Okay, I have 8 tens. So that means the numbers have to have an 8 in the tens column. But we're not unsure of what is going to be in the units column at the moment. So we know it's going to be in the 80s because it's on a 100 square. And it has to have 8 tens, and there's nothing else in 100 square which has 8 tens, apart from the 80s. So I have more than 5 units. So we've got our tens, which has to be the 8 tens. We've got the units, which has to be more than 5 units. So more than 5 could be 6 here. So it says, what numbers could it be? Yes, it could be 86. But it could also be where we have the tens, which is 8, the units could be 7, because that is also more than 5 units. So we could have 87. We've got our tens, which is 8. The units could be 8 as well. So the number could be 88. And then finally, we've got tens, which is 8, because it's always got 8 tens. And then we have our units, which would be 9. And that is more than 5 units. Now, if we continue that on, then the tens will become a 9, because we'd have 9 tens and it'd be 90. So this wouldn't work. So the only numbers that would work for this set of statements is the number 86, 87, 88, and 89. And it's just put in a different way where you have to think through the problem and just follow each of the steps as you go to be able to figure out what the answers are. So let's look at an example of another practical problem. Yes, it's easy enough to write the numbers, but you've got to be able to do them in different ways. So match the statements to the numbers. So we've got, my number has 5 hundreds. Okay, so we need to look through and we need to know where the hundreds column is in each of these numbers. So the hundreds, we've got our units first always. Then I've got my tens and then I've got my hundreds. So there's 6 hundreds here, units, tens, hundreds. So there's 9 hundreds here, 5, 6, 100 there. And then we have got the 500 there. So my number is 500. So there's only one of these numbers that has got 500. Which is the bottom one. So I'll match this up. My number is 500. My number has 7 tens. Let's use a different color for this one. So 7 tens. Well, tens is the second. So units, tens, units, tens. Well, there is 7 tens. Units, tens, units, tens. So this number is the only number which has 7 tens. So I will match it up. Now we're going to look at the next statement. My number has 6 10,000s. People sometimes struggle with this, but 6 10,000s. So the 10,000s, and remember if you do your set of 3, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, so it's 6 10,000s. Well, we've only got 2 numbers left. So if we look here, this one has got 6 10,000s because it goes units, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions. So this has got 6 10,000s. The one below, just to check, set of 3, 7 10,000s. So we can line that one up. And then the final one has to be this one. Let's just check. My number has 8 millions. Well, does this number of 8 millions do a set of 3? Hundreds, tens, units, set of 3. Hundreds, tens, units, set of 3. 8 millions. This would be the one that is correct. So being able to match them up and not just write the numbers or read the numbers is important, and being able to pick out which of the digits is worth what. Let's look at another one. I choose the following digits. So we've got 8, 4, 3, 7, 2, 1, and 5. What is the biggest number I could make? So if you think of this, if you want to make the biggest number, now we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 digits. That means that we could go from the units to the tens, to the hundreds, to the thousands, to the 10,000s, to the 100,000s, and to the millions. So 7 digits, we could make a number that is a million. Now the millions is obviously the one that is worth the most. So if we want the biggest number, we need to put the biggest number into the millions column. And if you look along here, what's the biggest? Well, the biggest is 8. So it'll be 8 million. And it's very straightforward now. If we need the biggest number, you're simply going to put the next biggest number as you go down, because we want the smallest number to be with the units, which is worth the least. So I've got my 8. Then I'm going to go with my 700,000. Then what number is next? It's going to be the 5. So we've got 5 tens of thousands. Then the 4, which would be 4,000. Then the 3, it's 300. Then the 2, which is 2 tens. And then the 1, which is a unit. So we've created the biggest number, and it was really simple. We knew our place value columns, and now we have the number 8,754,321. But 8,754,321. Now the next one, we need to make the smallest number. Well, this is exactly the same, except in the millions column, we need to put the smallest number. So literally we just need to reverse everything here, because we need 1 to be in the millions, because that is the least. Okay, so we've got 1 million. I've used the 1, and then I'll put 200,000. Then I've got 3 tens of thousands. Then I've got 4,000 again, and then I've got 500s. I've got 7 tens, and I've got 8 units. So to get the biggest number, you literally write the numbers from the biggest to the smallest. And to get the smallest number, you write them from the smallest to the biggest. So my answer for this will be 1,234,578. So what seems again like a tricky question, if you know your place value, it becomes very, very straightforward. So let's look at a couple more examples of using practical problems. So we've got to order these numbers from smallest to biggest. Now, there's some different symbols that we need to negotiate before we're actually going to do this. So if you look here, we've got 8.53 times 10, 8,560 divided by 10, 853, and then 1/10 of 850. So we need to actually do the calculation here. So if we're multiplying 8.53 by 10, the decimal point is going to move down 1 place because it's getting 10 times bigger. And we move it to there. So 8.53 times 10 will be 85.3. So this is the number that we're actually going to use when we're ordering this. And again, dividing by 10, the decimal point will move up 1 place because there's 1 0. If there is no decimal point, it's always hiding at the end, and it moves up 1 place. So this will be 856. And then finally, 1/10 of 850. Well, to find 1/10, or a fraction of a number, we simply divide by the bottom and times by the top, because we're going to split it into 10 parts and then take one of those parts. When it's a 1 at the top, we actually don't need to do the multiplying. So I'm simply going to divide it by 10. So it's very similar to this one. So 850 divided by 10. Again, decimal point will move up 1 place. If it isn't there, it's always hiding at the end, and we move it up 1 place. So this will be 85. So I'm going to write this one down below so that they're all on a similar level. So now ordering these from biggest to smallest is really easy. So we've got 85.3, 856, 853, and 85. Well, clearly the smallest is going to be the 85. Then next is going to be the 85.3. So it's 0.3 more than that. So we've used those first two. And then these two, well, what's bigger, 853 or 856? 856 is bigger, which means we'll have 853 and then 856. So it's just an ordering of numbers questions, but with the added extra of doing a calculation first before you can order the numbers. So do all the calculations first and then order those numbers from smallest to biggest. Now the final one, we're going to put in a greater than or a less than sign for here. And again, it's like the one before where we need to do the calculation either side and then put in the sign. Remember, this would mean less than, and the crocodile always eats the bigger number. So for example, I could have 6 here and 9 here because 6 is less than 9 and the crocodile wants to eat the 9. And the opposite of that would be the crocodile leading it this way. So the 9 would be here and the 6 would be here. 9 is more than 6. So this is the symbol that we need to put into this box to compare these two numbers, which one is bigger and smaller. So we've got 8.53 times 10 again. So the decimal point is going to move down one place. We've got to do the calculation. So this will actually be 85.3. And then 174 divided by 2. Well, I'll just do the calculation. Simple bust up. Then put in my 0. How many times does 2 go into 17? It would be 8. Carry the 1 and then into 14 will be 7. So this one's 87. Now, which one of these is bigger? If you're in this situation where this one looks like potentially it is bigger, you need to make it have the same number of decimal places. So I'm going to put a 0.0 on the end. So it's 85.3 and 87.0. So which one is worth more? Well, it's the 87 that is worth more. So that means the crocodile is going to eat it this way because it wants to eat the 87, not the 85.3. So next one, 1/5 of 875 is more or less than 170. Well, 1/5, remember, just divide by the bottom times by the top. But again, it's a 1, so we just simply need to divide it by 5. And I could actually do it just here. So we will do 5 into 8 goes once, carry the 3. And then 5 into 37 goes 7 times, carry my 2, and then it goes 5. So the number here on this side is actually 175. This one is 170. Well, which one's bigger? This one. So 175 is more than 170. And the final one here, again, we've got our dividing. So we need to work out what this is first. So if we're dividing, decimal point will move up one place. It is always adding at the end. So I've got 856 is what this calculation is equal to. Now 171 times by 5, just simple short multiplication. 7 5s is 35. Carry the 3. 5 times 1 is 5 plus the 3 will give me my 8. So this will be 855. So which one is bigger? 856 or 855? Well, that's easy. It is the 856 is more than 855.
Thank you for watching, and don't forget the free worksheet and answers in the description, or go to www.mathswithmrs.com.